Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Misfits Racing League broadcast. My name is Strifium, and we are here for Tier 2 Racing. Joining me, as always, in the commentary booth for Tier 2 Racing action, Unicorn. How you doing?
Oh, Strip, I'm looking forward to this one. Monaco, we've already had a couple of races around here, but this track, it's anyone's game around here. Literally anyone can win this race. It is not difficult to just, well, that's a lie. That's a complete lie. To rephrase it, it is very difficult, this track, but because of that, anyone can crash. It's so easy to make a mistake around here, but, it's up for grabs for anyone. The fastest guys takes one mistake and you're out of the race, so I'm very excited. And we still, Striff, I said it to the drivers before, I said it to you, we still haven't seen rain. And if we saw our first full wet race around Monaco, that will make it even easier to make a mistake.
Well, it's a very intense, tough circuit. And of course, it's round 7 now for the Tier 2 racers. They've had 6 rounds to get to know one another. This is, well, where they all come to really hang out, maybe have a cocktail there in Monte Carlo here. Now, next week we go to Baku. Following that, it's Canada, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, and Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi for this 22-round season. Of course, for all 5 of our divisions, but we're here for Tier 2 Racing today. And of course, massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Check them out via the link in the chat or via the panels down below. !NLR. Check them out via their website for some awesome sim racing rigs. Let's take a look at the standings. Hurricane leading this championship right now in the Ferrari. We have Azir in second position, the Williams. Neon, the McLaren driver, in third. It's Ferrari, McLaren, Alfa Romeo in that order for the constructors. And with that, Unicorn, it's going to be a very intense race here. We are just about ready to go racing here. It is now 8 p.m. or 3 p.m. Eastern, depending on where you may be finding yourself watching the stream today. But it is Tier 2 Monaco. 18 minutes of qualifying and a 50% distance race is about to go down here. And the fantastic thing about this is we've had 2 races, no wet weather, and by extension 32 races, I guess, no wet weather in the RL for the racing. We'll see if today is any different. Still hanging on for that high hope of, well, rain in any capacity.
Yeah, exactly. Just, it throws such a dynamic here, and around, I was going to say a track like Monaco, but around Monaco itself, there is no track quite like it. It is so tight, it's so twisty, and the walls are just impossible to make an overtaking maneuver around here easily. That if you get rain, the lack of visibility, the lack of traction around this circuit just makes things 10 times worse around probably one of the hardest tracks in the game already. So the drivers, they really need to be on their toes, especially if we see that rain. But even if we don't, it's Monaco, you're going to have drama. And with that, I think we are just about ready to go.
Just waiting to get things readied up from these racers in the lobby. Just a slight delay. We are switching hosts, I think, for this session. And of course, if there's any technological issues with the stream throughout this broadcast, we are prepared to switch streams as we did last week. And just let us know in the chat as soon as things start to get a little bit hairy, should they. Network up and down here as usual. But just a little bit of a disclaimer. And of course, greatly appreciate the support in the chat as always.
Yeah, everyone readied up. That countdown underway, and qualifying should begin in just a few moments' time. And this, arguably the most important qualifying session of the entire calendar, Striff.
Yeah, it definitely has been. Well, Monaco, just in itself, qualifying absolutely very difficult to overtake here. We saw it in Tier 3 yesterday. We also saw it in Tier 2, or not Tier 2, excuse me, Americas. We're about to see it in Tier 2. But, well, first we need that roll of the dice, don't we? We want to see what is about to go down as far as the weather forecast here in Monte Carlo, because no rain yet.
The weather is dry, and it's dry, so it looks like we will be without rain.
A little bit of a stream thing there. That I wonder if we were able to get the transcoding here. session now. Attempt to get transcoding for those that haven't watched it on lower connect. Hopefully it worked. If it didn't, well, much we can do. So apologies for that. Okay, into qualifying here around Monaco. Take us through who came out first. Unicorn.
Yeah, having a look, it's one of the racing points. It is Jones who's first out of the pit lane, and well, he hasn't had a terrible start to the season. 25 points on the board for in one podium and around Monaco. To see his teammate in the combined constructors, Rutanius, took the win here yesterday after a very dominant performance, and might be looking to replicate some of that success here. And we'll have a look at the rest of the drivers on this grid. We've got Azir right now at the top of the timing tower. Scars, Kai Bacchini, Relax, Neon, Jake Brommy reserving for the Mercedes. Jones, Crampy, Swifty, Rackety, Ben reserving in the Williams. XTXP, Cotters, Liam, Henners, Jean, Hurricane, Wavy over in the AlphaTauri seat, a new permanent driver on the grid. So good to have him here. And then Darian Alfie rounding out the bottom there. But it's a pretty short lap. So Jones has already made it to the last couple of corners. He's coming around Raskas now into the little chicane at the end of the lap. DRS wide open to start the first flying lap of the session in the racing point. Down towards Sandavot, turn 1, and through there cleanly. Turn 1 very tricky around this track on the opening lap. Through turn 2 up towards Massenet now. Turn 3 around the left-hander, keeping it nice and tidy. Through Casino. And again, just avoiding that bump on the left a little bit into Mirabal and on the wall, and that is going to damage his lap time. I don't think it's damaged the car though. The car looks okay as he comes through the hotel hairpin. Yeah, there's no damage on that front wing at all, but still gonna cost him a little bit of time just hitting that wall regardless. Coming now through the tunnel, all the way down out into the Nouvelle chicane. And he's taken that nicely. One of the easiest places to get an invalidation. If you're just trying to take a little bit too much, be a little bit sneaky through turn 12. Now into 13. Again, nice and tidy through there. Tight through 15 into Raskas again. And he's going to round up the lap. He is going to set it as a bank at Cotters just ahead of him. Pulls out of the way. DRS wide open for the Racing Point once more, and across the line it's a 109.5 for the Racing Point to open up qualifying here in Monaco.
Well, Crampy comes through right behind him, but jumps ahead in the timing tower. 109.137. Scars, his teammate, is now provisionally on the front row with Crampy, a 109.480 as XTXP comes through in the Renault. Teammate of yours, a 110.344 out of him. Jake, the Swedish driver over at Red Bull, has now taken pole position in 108.836 fashion here on the softs. Very nicely done. Azir in the Williams, he's flying into the Nouvelle chicane.
Yeah, a few drivers already, Striff, invalidating their laps. A couple of drivers hopping into the pit lane. Also, worth noting, Rackety, the other Renault driver, he's done his first lap on mediums. Not quite sure what he's thinking there. This is one of those tracks where pretty much everyone qualifies on the softs and gets as many runs in. The complete opposite to what we saw last week in Spain, where everyone just waited till the last 5 minutes to get one lap in on the medium tyres. But here, as Azir crosses into P2, I think, 109.1, very nice time from him. Yeah, Spain last week, everyone just sort of waited that little bit, whereas now, everyone gunning to get as many laps in as they possibly can.
Taking a look at this grid, we have some unfamiliar names as we have some reserves in attendance, but let's take you through it. We have Jake, Azir, Crampy, Swifty J, Scars. We have Jones, Brahmi 02 over at Mercedes here in a reserve capacity, I do believe, and we have XTXP at Renault as usual, Cotters as well as Rackety on this grid. Kai Bacchini in the Mercedes on an outlap right now. Relax is here. Neon. We have Ben over at Williams. He's here in a reserve capacity as well. Liam over at AlphaTauri. Henner, Jean, Hurricane, Wavy at AlphaTauri. And Darian Alfie in the Ferrari here in Monaco. And now we've had a major issue as Brahmi 02 slow through here in Sector 3. A Ferrari on the move has gone into the rear of him. I do believe that was Darian Alfie. Number 91 Ferrari here through into Larascas, coming into the pit lane, into the rear of that Mercedes.
Yeah, it was definitely Darian Alfie. Ben another reserve 110.1 puts him on the board, but Monaco, very tight circuit, difficult as well to get out of the way. Traffic around here, it can become a problem if there's just too many back markers, but at the same time in qualifying, it's so difficult to pull off of that racing line when the track is this narrow, and especially in those last couple of corners where you're switching from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the wall so quickly. It's just super difficult for the back markers to get out of the way. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Drivers just have to really be on their A game to make sure they get around it. Kai Bacchini right now, he's flying through the final sector. A little bit of a bump of the curb coming through swimming pool, but he's managed to keep it going. A little bit of a lock-up coming through Raskas into the last couple of corners across the DRS line to the finish line in a 5th place, a 109.4 for the Mercedes.
Henner's in the McLaren now. He's flying, not setting a time yet in this session. He's dropped deployment on that battery. Could just be dropping fuel now, getting ready to set a proper run. No, he's on his way into the pit lane, so maybe he took damage somewhere. Can't get a look at him right now, but his teammate Neon, one of the favorites here, has just begun a flyer and will take you through it as we come out of Sector 1.
Yeah, not only is he flying, but it's also his birthday, so looking for a good result here to make that day as good as it can be. There's Kai Bacchini just completely parked, like I said, difficult to get out of the way, so he's done it in the most efficient way possible. Neon now coming through the tunnel in the McLaren. Full utilization of the battery. Battery particularly hard to retain around here. We won't see too much usage of it outside of fights. Through the Nouvelle chicane, nicely done from him. And just avoiding the wall, coming through turn 12, and again just keeping as tight to these walls as possible without hitting them. He's done a very good job of navigating this circuit through Raskas. He is going to round this lap out, 17-18. Now DRS to the line. Where is the McLaren going to situate himself? There's cars at the pit lane. A 108.3, that's half a second's drift faster than Jake's personal best, who was sitting in that provisional pole slot for quite some time.
Very nicely done from Neon there, a 108.319. He will be very happy with that, and we'll see who is able to beat that. I jumped on with Hurricane briefly. He's now coming through the final few turns here in the Ferrari, and he will be finishing out this lap, and we'll have to see where it's good. Stand himself on this timing tower. Good for P10 at the minute, a 109.933 for the first lap out of the Ferrari camp. Darian Alfie is on the move once again up through the hill, coming through Casino.
Jake just improved to 108.6, but not good enough to get Neon. Jones as well, I do believe he just crossed the line. He's gone to third at 108.9, so a few drivers starting to fall down as new times start to come in.
Monaco, a circuit where personally I haven't seen made like super tight intervals in qualifying sessions, but you really see everyone tight in the race, of course. There's always little things plaguing people on their runs here. Traffic, dirty air. You never know. And here we have Darian now. Last time he came through here, he had a little bit of an obstruction in his way. I do believe the Mercedes took a penalty. Not sure if Darian did as well, but the time to the line now. Jumps his teammate, P10 for him, a 109.482 from Darian. It was a 109.933 out of Hurricane. Liam now, yet to set a time in the session, along with Henners and John. All three are flying. Who will be the first one to come through to the line? I do believe it would be John, so we'll jump on with him.
Yeah, Brommy, he's just crossed the 109.8, so getting into those 109s, a lot of 109s, like you said. The intervals aren't super tight in some places, but there are some really interesting gaps starting to form. From about 4th all the way through to about 8th, there's a nice 3/10 gap there. Some interesting racing will come of that. Like you said, Jean a little bit deep through Raskas as he comes through the final corners, so struggling just a tad in the Haas now. Out of ERS to the line. Good enough for 11th place at 109.6, and you can start on the mediums if you start there, so might be an interesting strategy available to him if he sticks the position.
Here goes Liam now to the line as well behind him. He goes into 10th position, and it will be Henners right behind him to follow it up into 12th. A 109.497, and things, as you said, yeah, they are definitely starting to tighten up in this grid. They'd be a little bit tighter right now, I think, if Neon and Scars weren't coming through with those tight 108 times in the mid-range. You'd have a little bit more separation in the timings, but or a little bit of a tighter timing.
It was Swifty just crossing the line. 4th place for him on 108.8, joining him up there. Interesting enough, Jeff, just looking at the standings, neither of these Red Bulls, they're 3rd and 4th right now, neither of them has finished on the podium this season. Not impossible, again, to get a podium around Monaco. 3 people have got to do it tonight. Are these guys, either one of them, going to break this deadlock? I didn't realize it until I looked at the standings today, but it's just surprising me, both doing, fairly respectably in the championship, but neither on that podium as of yet. So I'll be looking to change that.
Think back to the first few rounds of racing, Jake in that Red Bull and what I would consider the de facto team principal over there. Really having a troubling start. Now we have Swifty and Jake, that 3-4, that second row here, and we've known the Red Bulls to be quite rapid around Monaco in reality, and here they're showing it in the virtual space as well. That's always nice to see, a little bit of representation in that sense. Relax comes in 4th quickest though to separate them, a 108.821 from the racing point, and I imagine yesterday's winner, Mr. Rutanius, in Tier 3, will be happy to see a pink car close to the front of things.
Oh, Neon! He's just slapped the outside turn 11 and bounced into the wall. That's a huge chunk of damage on the front wing of that car. Like you just mentioned him, Rutenis there, fellow Dutchman. But
as you say that, Hurricane is out of this session as well, and I'm not entirely sure what's happened with Hurricane. Whether or not he's decided to call it in the pit lane, or if there was an actual incident resulting in a retirement for him in that Ferrari.
I do think it was in the pit lane. So, a little bit early for him. Maybe just not confident around him. He's top of the standings right now and qualifying around here. Super important. But he was on fresh soft. So, maybe it was a joke, but I don't remember seeing it. But, yeah, Neon not having the best of lucks. Jake now to the line. Doesn't look like it will be an improvement through Sector 1 and 2. Can he find something through Sector 3? He can. A 108.5 again, finding time on Neon just ahead of Scars, who's also flying in the Alfa Romeo, but still it is the McLaren on the top spot at the time being.
Yeah, Crampy, the Alfa Romeo out in front of Scars, had an issue. He's on his way into the pit lane now, as now Scars look to improve that 108.599, perhaps get that Alfa Romeo on the front row. Will he be able to do it? The rear wing wide open now. Oh, and he narrowly escapes Liam as Liam comes out of the pit lane, and I have to say that was extremely tight here as Liam comes out. That was very close. That was a heart and mouth. That was a moment. That was a moment. But look at the time that came out of him. A beautiful time it was, even with that very narrow run with Liam. A 108.320, a millisecond separating the 2 front row runners at the minute.
Yeah, it's a brilliant time, but at the same time, Scars will be just a little disappointed it wasn't 0.02 of a second faster to put him in that top spot, but still, second place. Track position, you cannot stress enough how important it is here around the streets of Monte Carlo, because the overtaking is so hard. So P2 for him, he won't be too disappointed with it, but he will be disappointed that he's so close to P1. Yeah, without it, Kai Bacchini, he's just invalidated coming down into the Nouvelle chicane. So again, a few upsets already here in qualifying. We haven't even got to the 39 laps that will come after the qualifying session here. We're just in those closing stages where 1 or 2 more laps from each of the drivers, depending on where they are right now. Those in the pit lane basically got 1 shot left.
Azir comes across the line. He improves on his run, but it is not enough to jump him from 7th position. A lot of drivers tempting fate with that pit exit. Liam now, a driver who we saw had a very narrow moment with Scars, is now flying as we come through into the tunnel.
Cotters just invalidated a fly. He's going to go again straight away though. in the Haas. Not enough time to get back into the pit lane. Currently, the slowest car to set a time so far. Not quite sure what happened on that run. 110.9. But here he goes. He thinks he can improve even on these 1 lap old softs. And tyre degradation around here is pretty rough. These soft tyres, they can go about 11 laps, but they won't feel great after about 5. So tyre management really critical around Monaco. Now down into the hairpin for the Haas driver. And so far, looking pretty clean and tidy.
Liam goes 8th quickest here.
Yeah, not a bad time from him. 109.1, just ahead of Crampy, who's starting to fly in that Alfa Romeo. Cotters, well, he's invalidated again through the new chicane, just as we saw Kai do moments ago, and will be kicking himself because that might just be his final run. He could go again on these tyres if he's got enough fuel, but that's not going to be the fastest time he could produce.
There's a lot of traffic in this grid right now. Neon in the McLaren. I'm not entirely sure if he's dropping a lap or if he's just trying to shred fuel. He has someone behind him though. I'm not entirely sure if they're flying. So much action on this grid right now, and I just want to take a moment to shout out everybody in the chat viewing along. And of course, thank you so much to everyone who's hit that follow button, and to Mr. Baza1411 for the 3-month subscription. Greatly appreciate you, sir. And Mr. Dogsy11 for the host. Thank you so much for the support of the MRL, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Neon now, he has begun. So the pole sitter is on the move here, and this will be his last opportunity to extend that pole position time. Scars is on an outlap, and they are separated by an extraordinarily sharp margin. And we have Jake, who is also on the move. Purple through sector 2. We'll see how he goes through sector 3. I think this might be a possible pole challenge here coming out of the Red Bull. Jake to the line. It's going to be a pole challenge from him, so it's provisional pole for the Red Bull at 108.258. Will Neon have enough to challenge this in the McLaren? I do not believe he has found time through sector 1. He has definitely found time on this lap overall. He is up, but he has cut the chicane. He's cut the curb, and that will not be an improvement for Neon. He lets traffic come through behind. Scars is on a flyer. I think Neon had it, but he blew the curb. Scars will be able to try and improve now. And I think this is Neon in trouble.
Yeah, Neon. I saw Jake sector 2, and it was, he was actually down, I think, through sector 1 just a tiny bit, but coming out through sector 2, and he just really nailed that second sector. I think he lost time again through sector 3, but he won't be disappointed. He found about 3/10 coming through
Scars
as well. So Jake now pretty much uncontested for the pole, and the only person who has a chance, well, it would have been Jones, but as an Alfa Romeo, is that Crampy? Yeah, Crampy spun it in the final sector, and that's just to hurt Jones's final lap time.
Looks like there was a little bit of confusion coming through sector 3. I had seen the Ferrari of Darian Alfie slow through. Swifty J as well, who had seemingly been on a flyer. He was slow through. A lot of late qualifying drama here, but I can tell you one thing for certain. It is a Red Bull on pole position here to finish out this qualifying session, and it is the Swedish driver of Jake.
Yeah, really nice time for him. Didn't buckle under pressure. Everyone in that last lap just pushing as hard as they could, and we saw Neon, Scars both invalidate fast laps, and it's just not what you want to be doing. It's the worst way to just, a self-impeded lap it's all down to the driver, and because of that, because you can't blame anyone else but yourself, it's going to play on their minds coming into the race here, and they don't have long to, reset themselves mentally and get ready for this race.
Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Tier 2 racing action. It's MRL Season 4. My name's Striffium. Joining me is Unicorn. It is Jake on pole position in the Red Bull. The Swedish driver set ourselves up with a 108.258 for the fastest time in this session. Neon, a 108.319, just shy of a 10th off the rear of Jake. Scars, the South African in the Alfa Romeo, will round out the top 3 starting this session, with Swifty, the other Red Bull, in 4th. And Ben, here in a reserve capacity for Williams, rounding out the top 5. We'll go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap. And of course, before we jump into action, 39 laps of it. Massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Check them out via the link in the chat and of course the panels below. To their website, they have some amazing racing rigs and awesome products. They're really helping out the sim racing community as a whole. So check out Next Level Racing, guys. You will not be disappointed. Now, Unicorn, 30 seconds counting down.
Yeah, and well, the race start here on Monaco is absolutely crucial. Turn 1. You know, it's so easy to have an incident into here, and those who aren't affected by it, that is when your clear leaders for the rest of the race are decided, because if you don't get involved in anything that happens in that turn 1, you're scot-free. You don't have to pit lap 1. You get a nice little lead. Obviously, a safety car could play into it. A safety car could come out pretty much any point during this race. It's so tight. Any car that crashes basically blocks the track unless it's really around the Nouvelle chicane or off turn 1. But here we are. Everyone on the grid ready to go. The formation lap in full swing, and everyone outside the top 10 bar XTXP on the medium tires. XTXP, he's gone for the soft, so no hards. And well, we were told it's a dry race, but it is looking a little overcast, so whether we'll see that rain come at the end of the race, if we get a couple of safety cars, possible. But Jake on pole position, joined alongside by Neon in P2. Scars in P3, he qualified just 1,000th behind the McLaren. Then Swifty in the other Red Bull, 4th place, rounding out the second row. Then Ben, reserving for the Williams in 5th. The 2 Racing Points, 6th and 7th, that's Relax and Jones. Azir in 8th, Liam in 9th, and Crampy rounds out the top 10. Then on the medium tyres, we have Wavy, Kai Bacchini, Henners, Jean, Hurricane, Rackety, Darian Alfie, XXP, Cotters, and Brommy, the other reserve on tonight's grid in P20.
Well, predictions in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Will the pole sitter here in Monaco win this race? In this case, it is Jake, the Red Bull. Get those predictions into the chat with your channel points. And of course, we'd love to see those predictions in the chat for how many safety cars we'll see in this campaign and who your favorites are to jump into. I'm going to say the top 5 today, not necessarily the podium, the top 5. Who you got landing themselves in that top 5 positions here, keeping it clean through as we come out of the final turn. All these drivers now getting things set up on this formation lap. I am shaking with excitement because, well, it's Tier 2. And Tier 2 can go a variety of unique different ways. Shout out to my friend Tiger Style. I know he knows what I'm talking about because this is going to be no exception to some of the unique racing we've seen so far in this season. And all the cars now on the grid. Unicorn, take us away here around Monte Carlo.
Oh, there we go. We got 4 or 5 red lights here in Monaco. Everyone revving, and away we go. Neon, not a bad start compared to Jake. The McLaren already side by side with the Red Bull, down into turn 1 around the outside, and he's got that move done and dusted. Swifty's up into P3 behind them. Something has happened. There's a lot of cars hiling into that corner, and we have a safety car strip lap 1, and Jones, Scars, and Jean caught up in that one. Not sure what happened to the Alfa Romeo, but from P3 all the way down to P19, I think maybe that might be an issue with the time and tell. He's actually in P4, I think. So he wasn't actually caught up in and amongst that issue. But the timing tower, a bit confusing. It is Neon leading Jake and Swifty in P4. There we go. Scars now put back into P4 in the timing tower. It's playing ball again, and Ben holds 5th. Relax in 6th. And it looks like Jones was the one who caused the safety car. He's down 13th position, but no damage on the front of the Racing Point.
Well, that was a very crucial start for Neon. He got that good jump off the line. He got Jake around the outside through turn 1, and it was a neatly done move there. Jake gave him the space, and it was good racing. And it's what you want to see on a race start, just excitement like that. But this safety car has neutralized a lot of what could have followed up. And now we're going to have a rolling restart to this race in just a few laps' time as everybody's bunched up. We're going to go through in just a few seconds here to try and get an idea of who's got damage. Relax will be the first driver to jump into the pit lane here off this opening lap. So there's going to be some net positions for a few of these racers on the mediums. And as soon as you see those mediums enter the top 10, my brain immediately jumps to strategy and how that may end up for a few of these soft runners now with the safety car. It's a big issue when these safety cars come out early. power degradation strategy. These things do start to play a role, especially in a track like Monaco.
Yeah, well, these guys on the lap 1 pit stop, you know, most of them going for hards. Darian, Bromy, both going for mediums, but hards, they can go to the end from here, so realistically, those guys, if they can keep their nose clean for the rest of this race, pick up no damage, they can just stay out, stay on the hards till the end of this race. You were just mentioning the mediums here. The thing is, the soft medium, very strong strategy around here. A one-stop, always favourable, and on the 2 fastest compounds of tyres, with this early safety car, makes that a little bit easier. The softs die out really quickly. I was saying it, after 5 or so laps, they really just start to feel bad when you need to take them about 11 or 12. But now, with the safety car, they can easily stretch them out to that, you know, lap 12 margin, make their medium run a little bit easier. And the same goes for those on the mediums. Medium soft makes it a little bit easier to take those mediums to the window they need to get for the soft compound switch over about lap 27, thereabouts, 27, 28. So this safety car benefits both camps, whether they're soft starters, medium starters. All of those are the lap 1 pit stops. They're going to go to the end on those hards. Apart from Bromy and Darian Alfie, both of those guys mediums from here. Maybe trying to take them to the end strift, but it seems like a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, mediums. Yeah. In a track like Monaco, I do believe they can go to the end. Whether or not they have any bite to them is an entirely different situation. When you look at this entire strategy situation, it's been turned on its head with this opening safety car, especially for some of these soft runners. I think they need to do some fast thinking now on what they're going to do. But as I've said for 3 seasons now, safety cars breed safety cars, and that can't be any truer than in a place like Monte Carlo, because it is just so tight. And next week we have Baku. I was having a discussion last night. People were saying, you know, it's more you know, common for a safety car in Baku because when they're crashing, they're hitting it at higher speeds than in Monaco. It's Monaco. It's tight. And we're sitting behind a safety car right now, and I think that this is the first of a few.
Yeah, and like you said, safety cars breed safety cars, and with that, it extends how long this race lasts. And I'm looking at the sky strip, and there are clouds up there. There are pretty dense clouds, and I would not be surprised to see rain at the end of this race. I really wouldn't.
Well, if we continue to get safety cars, I would not be surprised. And we've seen it happen in Season 3, where safety cars did play with the dynamics of rain. And rain did come in. So we'll see if it happens. Safety cars coming in now. Neon's going to slow things down through Sector 3.
Yeah, both Red Bulls right now in the top 3. Neither's finished there this season, and well, they're looking pretty good to do it now. When is Neon gonna go in the McLaren? He's still keeping it after all. There he goes. He's waited just a little bit after the final corner, and so far so good. Scars looking to try and get back P3. Not gonna happen for the Alfa Romeo though. Everyone else looking pretty good, and already this grid pretty segregated just upon how this track is structured. Azir, he's all over the rear of Liam. But again, because of how difficult it is to overtake, no one's exchanged positions as of yet on this restart, sir.
Well, we want to see some green flag racing. We want to see a little bit of consistency now in some of these racers, and hopefully we don't have too many yellow flags through this campaign, but I do think there will be some mishaps presenting us with some unique scenarios. But right now, everyone looking well through this restart. It's a nice rolling restart up through turn 1, and we saw Scars have a good jump on Swifty, but it wasn't enough to get anything done. He looked for it, but he was patient about it. Kai Bacchini now, as we come into the chicane, he's looking at the rear of the Alpha Tauri in Wavy.
Speaking of Alpha Tauris, the other one, Liam, he's missing an end plate, so might have a little bit of a struggle here. Ben, ahead of him, tapped the barrier coming into Mirabel. No damage. It was the rear right that he gitters. That is an AlphaTauri of Wavy. A big slide coming through Raskas, but not going to cost him yet. Can Kai find a move now? Down into turn 1 and using a little bit of ERS. He's already used 30% of that battery. Crampy's into the pit lane in the Alfa Romeo. Kai not able to find a way past Bromy. He's into the pit lane as well. So Darian Alfie picking up a few places there.
Team action coming out of the Red Bulls right here. Jake and Swifty have switched positions. Jake holding on to a little bit of damage on the front left right now, and he's going to operate the anchor for the Red Bull squad. Scars is going to have an issue getting through this charging bull. I can guarantee it right now. We'll see how much that damage is impacting Jake here. Ben will be looking to inherit as well should anything happen. Scars looking quite tight at Jake as we come out of the tunnel. Is he going to go for it here into the chicane? No. Very patient out of the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, like you said, this is a big problem for Scars. The Red Bull boys, they're playing it smart. You know, they've got good points so far in the championship. You can see that Jake really struggling with the damage, but it's Monaco. We've said it so far, so good. You know, it's super tight, and you just have to make a car as wide as possible. Typically, Jake's going to come straight into the pit, so he's getting rid of that damage now. Probably going to take these hards that he's going to get on to the end, but he's given his teammate Swifty here a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of an opportunity. Broken the DRS that they get down into turn 1. Doesn't impact enough, but when Scars and Ben, they might start fighting. Scars has to defend, slowing him down. Swifty, breathing room. He hasn't got a car ahead for a couple of seconds. He hasn't got a car behind. And
relax, and Cotters are wheel-to-wheel up through Sector 1. I'm sorry to interrupt you. They're still wheel-to-wheel as we come through Casino, and it's really intense. Oh, man. That was a muscle and a half out of their racing point, I do believe. I caught the end of that, but I think there's damage on one of these drivers. No, it doesn't look like either of them have damage.
Well, I can't say I was expecting that as we came down through the opening stage of the lap, but you know, great to see racing action on such a tricky track and to keep it fairly clean as well. It's what we love to see around Monaco. If you do get side-by-side action, it's always a very, very dramatic spectacle for all of us watching. And Rackety now having a little bit of trouble through the final zone. You know, my teammate spoke to him before the race, and well, he's just moved house, so he hasn't had a huge amount of time to practice around here, and or practice makes perfect. So to be in P10 right now, not doing too bad for the Renault squad, but he is dropping off the back of this train just a little bit. It goes all the way from Ben in P4 all the way down through to about Jean now in P9. So these guys, one mistake at the front of this train could really cost the guys behind.
Well, one thing to talk about here is the fact that Liam is sitting in this train right now at that little bit of damage on the front left wing of the AlphaTauri, but he's still keeping it with Ben. Ben dropping off of Scars. Ben's holding all these guys up, not Liam. And he's just sitting here with the Williams. He's using him for a defense, I imagine. Got a yellow flag through Sector 3. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Wavy looking at his ear within half a second coming through the chicane. Everything is just tight packed within this top 10 right now, through to 4th as you said. And well, buckle up because we are here for a very, very good haul of racing. And as soon as the pit stops come through, that's when things get kicked into high gear.
Yeah, just mentioned that yellow flag. Brommy, he just spun through Raskas. Nothing really too bad for him. The Mercedes, no damage. Scars has been catching Swifty quite nicely, but Kai Bacchini, even Wavy, Azier as well ahead of them. These guys all getting a bit jostling for position here as they come up towards Massenet and the Casino corners. And so far, no positions exchanged, but there's a couple of hungry-looking drivers here around a track that doesn't really give them too many opportunities. This train, though, really very lively as they come through the hotel hairpin.
Now Wavy was looking quite wavy there into turn 1. If you, yeah. Anyway, Jean has caught up with Kai Bacchini, still here within that 1 second range. Wavy, Kai, Jean, Rackety, all on these mediums will be in good position. Wavy, the only one of the 4 of them with a penalty.
Yeah, penalties really can play a role, especially around a track like this where it's so easy to bring out a late safety car. You know, we mentioned safety cars can come out, really impact the tyre strategy, but they can also impact everything else. As Cotters and Henners, they've exchanged, but I think it's Cotters in an issue because he's lost out to Hurricane as well. Left end plate missing on the Haas, and well, he's not going to come into the pit lane, so he's going to keep going with it. So not too bad for the Haas driver, but still not ideal as Kai Bacchini now looking up the inside, coming down through Massenet, not going to find the move again. Wavy just putting on an excellent defense here, really keeping the Mercedes at bay. Kai, a little tap to the wall on the left, coming down into Mirabao, but he's got Jean all over his gearbox, and These guys, this train is getting ever longer as Rackety's caught the back of it now, and Jones isn't too far away either.
This is really, really about to pop off in this grid right now. Liam starting to break off from Ben here, giving Ben a little bit of breathing space in that Williams. He's driving for the Pirates.
Oh, wait! Spun and Kai straight into the back of it. No way he could have avoided that.
Oh,
Very
no.
unfortunate.
Damage on the front end of that Mercedes front right, I do believe. Yeah, end plate missing for him there. We'll take a look at Wavy.
Yeah, he's missing an end plate as well, I believe, Schiff. And yeah, left end plate completely missing off of that Alpha Tauri. And Hennes, he had to swerve to avoid the carnage ahead of him, but Wavy into the pit lane, gonna get it off of these mediums. Hards to the end would be very easy, and he's gonna take some hards now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him take it to the end. Kai Bacchini and Jean. Jean, the Haas, still tight to the rear of the Mercedes, who's now sporting damage. This could open up the Haas for the move. Looks up the inside. Now the switch back through Casino. The Haas, a great exit. Out of Casino, down into Mirabal. Up the inside. The Haas is through. And that is an excellently crafted move. Very opportunistic. Really taking advantage of the damage on Kai's car. And Kai has been putting up a strong fight so far. But that damage really going to disappoint him, I'm sure. His engineer as well, Dirk Chocolate, telling him to keep his head down. Keep himself cool-headed. But it's going to be difficult now that he's losing places to an incident that really couldn't have been avoided for him.
Well, something right now to think about is the fact that Rackety is there. Jones has caught up as well in that racing point. This damage is going to hurt Kai, and it's going to cost Rackety a little bit here, as well as Kai drops off the Haas ahead. Kai's just taken 3 seconds. Definitely struggling through here. We'll see if he pits to get things fixed up. Yeah, he comes in. And he is off the mediums here on lap 11.
Yeah, and the pit window for everyone else not too far from opening for those who started on the softs either. This lap, the next, maybe we'll see an undercut. We'll see who comes in. Neon at the front right now. He's got a nice 5.6 second gap. You lose about 18 seconds almost on the dot here in the pit lane. So no free pit stop for the Dutchman yet, but it is possible, especially with how much breathing room he's been afforded by the rest of this grid, to pull one out. There's to the hairpin. The 2 racing points still looking at the rear of Rackety, but Jones with a penalty and soft tyres, he'll be leaving the Renault to do his thing right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see team orders here. Bring him in.
Will the wheel through the hairpin. XTXP and Jake just went side by side through the Grand Hotel hairpin. XTXP right now, I am not entirely sure who even took that position, because I wasn't sure where these two landed themselves heading into that exchange. I'm not going to lie, but now XTXP has this charging bull on fresher rubber right behind him. I don't know if it was the defense out of XTXP there, or if he had come out. That had to have been a defense from XTXP.
Well, people who are going to be on the defense, the guys up the front right now, Neil, Scars, Liam, Azir, all yet to pit. They've stayed out. The other front runners, they've come in. Swifty, Ben on these fresh mediums. XTXP as well, we were just mentioning him. Jones too. They're 16 in 16th right now. All got off the starting sots. I wouldn't be surprised to see the front 4 come in a minute as well. And, well, Liam, Azir, they've got Jean on these starting mediums all over the rear of them in this little train. And Jean, he's going to
Cotters and Darian Alfie. Darian Alfie sneaks up the inside of Cotters. Neatly done from him, taking advantage of Cotters' damage right now. I think Darian has some damage himself on the front right. Oh, he's clean. He's all right, but it was a nice move from him.
Yes, Swifty. He's already picked up a place on these fresh mediums, and I think Hennes might have had an issue. The McLaren missing a large portion of the front left of his wing. Cotters and Ben now, they've exchanged going down into the Nouvelle Chicane, and Cotters, again, looks like there's damage on that Haas, and I think he's yet to pit, so he's still sporting it. Wouldn't be surprised to see him try and tough it out, but he's losing positions. He's just hit a wall there again, and well, Jake here, fairly fresh hards.
He's really holding Jake up. Yeah, he still has that damage. Jake right now getting a little bit
on relax, side by side. Sorry doing the upshift, but just about holding off the McLaren. Almost into the wall, but Neon thinking of the finish position rather than this third place right now, but relax. almost ended the
XTXP
McLaren's
Cotters
race.
through Sector 1 up the hill. XTXP gets it done into 11th position. Cotters really struggling. He had another brush with the wall. Jake got into 10th there. Traffic now. You see? Traffic now. Risks start to get taken. And this is what I was talking about. Some unique scenarios might present themselves. Neon on the fresh mediums, on the rear of Relax. We'll see how he's able to go here. He does not want to be stuck behind anyone for long.
Yeah, Neon just dancing all over the rear of this racing point, and well, Relax, he's on those hards. He's not going to come into the pit stop anytime soon. If at all, he could stay out till the end of this race. He has got a little bit of front wing damage, so maybe at the end he'll come in for softs, maybe take advantage of a safety car, but here goes the McLaren. Fakes the outside, up the inside now, using DRS. Nicely done for the McLaren. He's made one move on the opening lap to get P1 on lap 1. Now he takes P3 away from Relax, and he really needed to get that move done. Rackety Jean, they're going to come into the pit lane, but not for a little while, so Neon really needs to get a move on, get rid of this Renault before he starts holding him up as well. Swifty and Hurricane, they've exchanged. The Ferrari, the Red Bull, they're side by side. Swifty going to look to retake the position through the hairpin. They're still side by side here. Swifty around the outside now through turn 7. Through turn 8, they're still side by side. There's just enough room for the Red Bull around the outside to find the acceleration and the traction he needs. He's pretty much out of battery. Darian, way more in the tank in terms of ERS, but Swifty on those fresh mediums, going to be very happy he cleared that Ferrari as quickly as he did.
Definitely hard fought move there coming out of Swifty to dispatch the Ferrari, and he needed to get that done because he wants to catch up with Neon ahead. Neon in some traffic right now. If Swifty is able to catch up with Relax, it could work out very well for the Red Bull squad.
Yeah, the biggest problem I can see Swifty having right now is that he's not really got a lot of ERS, but then neither some of the drivers around him. Relax has used a lot. Neon's used a fair chunk of his battery too. And Monaco, it's really hard to recharge that battery. So when it comes down to the last few laps, we could see a lot of drivers without ERS, almost at all, to defend against those who may be reserving it and using it a little bit more frugally and have more saved up in those final 5 or so laps when last lap maneuvers will start to come into play.
A couple fights we absolutely have to bring our attention to were Scars and Hurricane, but now it's Liam and Kai, and these two have history. So tight down into this Grand Hotel hairpin. Just major squeezing coming out of both drivers there, nobody wanting to yield, and it's Kai holding on to 12th.
Swifty, he tried to find the move, a late break into the chicane. Didn't quite find on Relax. They were side by side, and both drivers incredibly left enough room for the other, but Swifty really being held up right now by this racing point on these old hard compound tires, and well, that move there, because it didn't work out, really cost him even more time as Wavy picks up another 3-second time penalty. They're coming in thick and fast, like you said. Kai, Liam, they're also tight. Rackety, he's been dispatched by the McLaren of Neon, and so is XTXP.
Wheel to wheel, Swifty, Relax now. Here it is, Swifty, the Red Bull, ahead of the racing point as we come through Sector 1, and there it is. Swifty through into 4th position with a nail-biting move, and as that's gone down, Hurricane's caught up with Scars.
Yeah, Hurricane Stars here. They'll be looking to sort of profit from this maneuver, and Hurricane on the same tyres as Relax, but he has the penalty, so at the end of this race, if he's still where he was, if we were to red flag the race right now, Hurricane would lose out, not only to Relax, but here, down into the chicane. He's going to try and look for it on the outside. Relax telling him to try again, really not offering him any light through the doorway, and really just keeping that tight. Ben, Darian, Alfie, they've gone side by side, but again, nothing coming out of any of the battles. Azier and XTXP. Azier spun round. XTXP. Both drivers not really finding it enough space to go side by side into turn 10, the start of the Nouvelle chicane. And that's really cost the Williams here.
Well, one thing to talk about is that I had said with that early safety car, the guys that came in on these harder compound tires were going to present problems. Here goes Swifty around the outside of Rackety. This is the second time we've seen Swifty do an overtake through Sector 1. He's not taking any prisoners now, but Hurricane has dispatched the racing point. Relax will now need to worry about Scars, who was looking at him quite close. Scars, one of the drivers who has really not benefited from having these harder runners coming in early.
Yeah, Hurricane, really nice move up the inside of Relax there. Very clean through Massenet. And like you said, these hard runners, Hurricane and Relax here, don't really seem to be struggling with the older tire compound, the harder tire compound. They're doing pretty well to keep up with these guys, so they could really be a danger, particularly for, Rackety Jean. They're going to come into the pits before the end of this race. We'll see where they come out because they haven't got a huge lead right now. So they will drop a fair few positions because this grid isn't really that spread out. There's a few pockets of drivers here, there, and everywhere. So if you're not clear of them, you're going to drop to all four of them. But here is that. Looks like Neon just lapping Codders. And he's just behind Codders' teammate Jean, yet to come into the pits. 17 laps on the mediums.
Scars now and Relax wheel to wheel through Sector 1. We've seen so much fighting here now. Relax, a little bit shaky. He has that front right end plate missing. Scars up the inside, gets the move done into 6th position, Unicorn. And we have a yellow flag. What's happened here? Henners through the chicane, Wavy and Henners seem to have had an issue. Yellow flag being sparked as a result. No damage on the McLaren. What about the AlphaTauri? It appears he is clean as well. Neon is changing into the chicane, and looks like Neon has made it through in the lead of this race, Unicorn.
Yeah, not quite sure how that happened with Codders being right there as well. It was a bit confusing. One of the Haas drivers, though, very much off the line coming into the chicane, so I'm not sure what was going on there because Codders already let both drivers pass, but still super unfortunate for the Haas squad. Jean on these 17-lap old hards, medium, held up Neon for as long as he could, but Neon on a charge right now on his birthday. He's really showing his stripes here today. Rackety, Hurricane, they've exchanged the Ferrari at the top of the driver's standings right now. He's just taken P4 away from the Renault, and Scars now dancing all over the rear of Rackety as well. And Rackety again, just like Jean, yet to pit. Scars now looking up the inside as they go down towards Mirabal. There's just enough space for the Alfa Romeo. He's going to have a look around the outside of the Grand Hotel hairpin. Rackety, though, just about making that Renault as wide as he needs to hold on for P5 at the moment. Again, this isn't really for finishing position, given that Rackety has to pit again, but he's doing a world of favours for Hurricane right now, who's on those 17-lap old hards and has really put a lot of cars now between himself and Relax. Here goes Scott a lot later on the brakes, down into the chicane. The Alfa Romeo picks off the Renault quite nicely, and we've seen some really excellent moves coming out of the Tier 2 grid this evening, Striff.
Yeah, that was nicely done there from Scars later on the brakes, clean through the turn, nicely done overtake from him, now into 5th position, looking to hunt down 17-lap old hards of Hurricane. Ben in 9th position here at Williams, hunting down Darian Alfie, who's also on some older tires, but Ben comes into the pit lane. There's a very, very interesting call here coming out of Williams to get into that pit lane. Could be wing damage. We look now, Neon 3.4 seconds ahead of Jean, and this has really come through with the races we've seen already here in Monaco. That leader has had the opportunity to break away from the runners behind in every race so far. Tier 3, Americas, and now Tier 2.
Yeah, Ben was pitting to get rid of a damaged end plate. Meanwhile, Liam and Kai. Liam has a little look up the inside of Mirabal on the Mercedes. Not quite finding the space he needs, but he's making his presence well known. Behind the young Brit, and these two, they've been at it for a fair few laps now, Striff. We're halfway through the race, lap 20 of 39, and everyone will be getting into their groove and really settling into the race by now. But with everyone battling it out, they haven't really had a moment to just sort of chill out. It's been a very intense race so far for all of these guys. No one really, I don't think, has had a moment's rest.
No, there hasn't really been anything other than that opening lap safety car to give anyone a moment's rest. And, well, everyone, I imagine, wondering, well, is that it? Is there anything else coming? Hurricane and Scars might give us some fireworks right now. The battle for P4 between the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo, and Scars has been picking off a couple of drivers through the past few laps, but we'll see if Hurricane's going to be one of them. Tire difference is massive here. It's 19 laps, penalty as well for the Ferrari, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Just hold up Scars.
Liam really feeling the dirty air on Kai. It looks like a little brushable, no damage for the Alfa Tauri, but just tapped the rear of Kai Bacchini. Nothing came of it, didn't even unsettle Kai's car, but Liam just seems to be struggling a little bit.
There it is out of Scars. Later on the brakes, just on the inside, but it was not enough to get Hurricane for P4.
That's one of the only overtaking spots, and you know, we've seen it already a couple of times. It's just failed to work for some of these drivers, and it just shows how difficult overtaking is around this circuit, because you know, you've got, you know, turn one again possible through there, particularly with DRS, but even so, it's so hard to overtake, and you've got to take every opportunity. Even if you don't think it's the best, you just have to try in some of these situations, and patience around a lot of tracks is a virtue, but too much patience here around Monaco can just lead you to get stuck behind someone, lose out on a lot of places, a lot of positions, a lot of time lost. So these drivers, it's a fine line here to get it right. Liam has a look around the outside of Kai. Kai just avoiding that bump on the left, managing amazingly to keep that contact without costing either damage or a trip to the wall. But that was super, super close. Liam tried to be very opportunistic there, but Kai was literally just avoiding the bump on the left-hand side, as a lot of drivers do.
Well, one thing to talk about is that Jones is within this fight as well, and it's not just a 2-car fight, but a 3-car fight, and it could just be a 4-car fight if Azir gets on his horse and catches things up, where he is in 11th position right now. Meanwhile, Scars and Hurricane still fighting for this 4th position. Hurricane about to jump on to his 22nd lap with this tire.
Yeah, 20 laps, no, you know, small feat, and he'll be trying to take them to the end. They won't be feeling unusable yet, but they will be starting to lose a little bit of grip. They will be starting to feel a little bit lackluster through the corners. Liam again having a look at Kai Bacchini, but just not finding it. Kai really doing a superb job at holding him up. Azir, he's had an issue again. Well, it's into the pit lane for him. He was just dropping like a stone, but it is the pit lane for the Williams driver.
Liam, Kai wheel to wheel now. Liam and Kai. This time Liam gets the move done, but Kai still on that inside as we come through the hairpin. A little bit of a light tap there on the rear of the Ferrari of Darian Alfie. Darian Alfie looking at Relax, and this is a huge train now. It is a 5-car train on the rear of Relax in that racing point. And the drivers on the fresh tires are not going to be happy. Liam, Kai, Jones, they're sitting behind Relax and Darian, both on older tires. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a safety car. And for what I do not know,
I'm having a look, Striff, and cars all seem to be moving. There is not a stationary dot on this grid. Unless it was Hennes who's just come into the pit lane. He's got a wing change, but the other one looking fairly intact, missing maybe 1, if not 2 end plates. A few of the top runners, this has come out at a great time for the likes of Jean, Hurricane, Relax, all getting off of these old tyres. Some they started on, some they pitted lap 1 for, but it's a brilliant time for these drivers. Neon right now, he's beating the safety car out, so he could pit if he wanted to. Sots to the end. A little bit of a stretch, but definitely possible if you've got a fresh set. Most of them won't, though.
What has happened here?
Crashed.
What on earth just happened?
Don't know if you caught that on your shot, but I didn't see it. But the safety car's right there, so I'm wondering if guys just weren't anticipating the safety car being there.
Well, I don't have words for what I just witnessed, and I don't think the chat understands what we just witnessed either, but I'll say one thing. Liam is out of this race.
Well, you hate to see someone retire like that. We didn't have a retirement for the safety car, but we've got one during it, so a little bit unorthodox here, but 24:39, and Neon is going to pit out a lead of this race. It's a free pit stop. He's going to try and take the softs to the end. Swifty gonna follow suit. Scars not too far behind. Is the Alfa Romeo going to come into the pit lane as well? He's not. Interesting strategy for him. He's gonna take these mediums to the end. He's beaten Swifty though. Swifty getting a new front wing, and this could cost Swifty here. If Kai, he's not pitting. Jones, he's not pitting either. Where's Swifty gonna come out? It's gonna be behind these guys. That's a lot of positions here, Striff.
I don't know if softs was the right call here. I do not believe softs was the right call here.
It's going to have a nice advantage of pace here at the moment. Especially for Neon. Swifty, maybe not, because he's going to get caught in traffic. Neon, though, he can use these fresh softs to pull away from Scars, Kai, Jones, who are on old hards, old mediums. I think it'll work for him, because at the end of this race, when he really needs to nurse them, he should have the gap to do so. He doesn't have a penalty right now. Kai does. So that sort of is a little safety net. Obviously, Scars behind doesn't. But for Swifty, the softs there, like you said, I don't know what else could have gone for.
I'm gonna give you this, ladies and gentlemen. This is Striffium's super hypothetical assessment of the top two for Monaco. If Scars does not pit, which I don't think he will right now, because I think that would lose him everything. So you have Neon 1, Scars in 2. Scars tries to overtake Neon into turn 1. Neon takes a penalty or damage. I think that's what happens. I think that there's a hard fight for this first position early on this restart. That's what I think.
I don't think it'll be Scars and Neon, but I think you're probably right. One thing I'm thinking as well, Striff, we were mentioning it earlier, those clouds, they're still here. There's none forecast, but right at the end here, with these guys, you know, it's not just Neon and Swifty on these fresh softs. There's Darian down in P12. There's Azir in 14th, Codders, Henners. These tyres are not going to feel good at the end. If this track becomes slightly damp, when these guys are on about 13 lap old softs, which have probably been used in qualifying as well, they're going to have no traction. And if this track gets a little bit slippery with rain, these guys are not going to be happy. Their tyres are going to feel awful after, you know, 6 or so laps anyway, because they're softs around Monaco. If you add rain into the mix, it's going to be like a skid pan out there. These guys are going to be, you know, they're going to be ice skating in these F1 cars, and around Monaco with these very close walls, that's a problem. So I think the tyre wear on these softs, particularly problematic for those in traffic, Swifty, Darian, Azir, those guys, they're going to feel it. They're really going to feel those softs at the end of this race.
Kai Bacchini's just taken a penalty, apparently, for a collision with Jones. One thing to talk about with Kai Bacchini is he has a significant amount, well, he has 2 drivers ahead of him in the form of back markers, 3 actually. Otters, if I'm not mistaken, will be able to catch himself out of lapped position. So that's very good for him. Taking a look at the chat, getting all that feedback in about what we just witnessed with Liam. What do you all think we are going to see at the end of this campaign? Any major bold predictions that we can find ourselves with in the chat? Of course.
That's for bold predictions. I'm trying to work out where that all falls down. XXP's 25 lap old hards. That's interesting as well. I've just noticed that Renault's sitting there in P8 right now. That's a rolling roadblock if ever I've seen one.
Well, what I will say, one thing here. Massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you guys haven't checked them out on their website, check them out. The link is in the chat. We greatly appreciate their support of sim racing. So, do us a favor, click that link. They've got some awesome, awesome quality products there if you're looking to do a ton of racing. I'm really grinding my brain here trying to figure out what is going to happen here. Look at the amount of penalties we have here. Kai Bacchini 11 seconds, Jones with 5, Hurricane with 3, XTXP with 5, Ben, Jake 3. You have Azir with 3, Cotters with 6, Bromy with 3, Wavy with 6, 9 for Henry. A few of those drivers, Bromy, Wavy, and Henry have all been lapped. Safety cars, these penalties mean even more when you have a safety car. It just tightens everything up, fresh rubber. Safety cars coming in at the end of lap 27. So lap 28, green flag racing.
Here's my bold prediction. Rackety, P4, the end of this race. There we go. I've been trying to work one out for so long, but there we are. Neon restarting this race for the second time. so far, and he's floored it a little bit earlier. Done a little bit of a different strategy. Caught Scars out a little bit, but not too much. The McLaren of Henner's,
exactly
Wavy as well, battling.
That was very good from Neon there to try and catch out the Alfa Romeo. That's exactly what he needed to do, was escape that Alfa Romeo, avoid any kind of potential overtake into turn 1, and he's proven me to be a liar. But you know what? It's a long race.
Yeah, Wavy just trying to let as many cars past on this 30-car restart, and that rolling roadblock of XTXP proving very much real. Look at the gap forming there already. 2 seconds through Sector 1, and he's got his teammate Rackety behind. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Renault squad here switch positions, and then XTXP hold up the rest of this grid for Rackety to bring home some points.
Looking at John into the chicane. It's a big lunge out of the Red Bull, and he's looking to make some positions early here, wheel to wheel, and the Red Bull gets it done into 5th. What a nice move out of him.
We got a yellow flag. Who is that? It's the Ferrari. It's Hurricane. He is falling down this grid. He's keeping it to the tight inside, and huge wing damage for the Ferrari. It's not what he wants to be seeing. No safety car as a result of it.
Well, that is very unfortunate for the Scuderia Ferrari squad here. Right now, Ben Rackety. Rackety's still on the rear of his teammate. When are we going to see a team switch here? Look at the gap that XTXP is creating ahead of him. Just in the fact that he's holding up Rackety, this is not good. He needs to let Rackety go, but he has an entire grid of drivers behind him in close proximity, and they need to pick their time very, very carefully. But the longer it takes, the longer this is hurting them.
Yeah, he just needs to get it done and dusted. They really need to do it, you know. Out of this corner right here, X6P just let off the throttle through, let, you know, Rackety go through the tunnel, down into the chicane, but it doesn't look like they're going to do the switch again.
I think Rackety slipped.
To the nail.
50 gets Jones into the P4. Nicely done from them. Rackety on the rear of XTXP. XTXP just took a penalty, if I'm not mistaken, as 0 as well, but I think Rackety slipped. And now Ben's just sitting on him. Neon a 1:10.274, fastest lap of this campaign, and another Ferrari's having issues, it would appear. No, that's the AI-controlled car of Hurricane through Sector 1. Neon now a 4.5 second gap. Here goes Ben up the inside of Rackety through turn 1. He takes a penalty for his troubles and takes 8th position, but 3 seconds as a result. There's a safety car.
Because a crash! It's Henner's, I think.
Well, Kai, and I'm not sure what happened with Kai and Swifty. Maybe you saw it, but Henner's is out of this race somewhere.
Yeah, that's through coming down between Casino and Mirabel. I didn't catch what happened. All I saw was Swifty and Kai exchange, got a tire tower, switched to it, and Henner's car just retired on the inside there. Kai's got a huge chunk of damage to the front wing. So again, for the young Brit, all comes crashing down. Swifty, he's got a fresh front wing, so he wasn't involved from behind. So maybe what I'm thinking is Henner's just hitting the inside wall. Kai's gone into the wall, and Swifty's taken a position as a result, just reacting to it. So Kai, an unfortunate race. If that was similar to the Wavy incident,
there is one driver. I think there's one driver who's going to win out of this. John in this Haas is in an amazing position right now. Everybody else, I think Neon stayed out. Neon has stayed out here. Scars has stayed out here. Swifty has stayed out here. Kai's going to pit. Jones is staying out. This is interesting. I thought people were going to pit. I thought we were going to see a little bit of a refresh on rubber here to the end, but they're playing that track position. So I don't know what to say now. I genuinely don't know what to say now. That's this race has been flipped on its head again.
Just realised I've been muted for a little while, which is a bit problematic, but there we are. Talking to myself. Yeah, the grid is too bunched up to pit, I think, Striff. That's the problem these guys have got. I'm sure there's a couple of drivers here who would love to pit. You know, XTXP, I'm sure he'd love to get off those 29-lap-old hards, but if he pitted now, he'd just lose all hopes of points he's got. Right now, sitting in 6th place, not too bad, you know. Jean Jones, I don't know if the Racing Point had an issue. Looks like those two. Maybe a little bit of safety car bug between the two. Fingers crossed they get it sorted out. But still, penalty free. Like you said, Jean, he's sitting in P5 now. Rackety in P8. Both of them without penalties. The top two, Neon Scars. You know, it's looking good for these guys. It's so important to keep yourself penalty free around here, and as a result, these guys could really benefit. We spoke about it earlier. Late safety car changes the game up, but it's still 8 laps to go around Monaco. Obviously, some of them will be under safety car conditions.
19-lap-old mediums for Scars, and he's going to have to go to the end on these and do everything in his ability to keep Swifty on 7-lap-old softs at bay. Rami 02, 16th position, back marker at the minute. Will have to pull off for Swifty.
The problem there with the back markers here is that it is so difficult to get out of the way, so he might be able to let Swifty, Jones by, maybe Jean as well, on the start-finish straight, but then you've got to come to turn 1, and he's again just got to pull in, take the line, and that's going to hold up the likes of XTXP, Ben. So it's a bit problematic being a back marker in this train, and I think that would have been part of the problem that Hennes had on the last one, and that's what's caused this second safety car here. Because Hennes was a back marker, probably just trying to let as many people pass as he could, and in doing so, maybe just made a little mistake, trying to get off the racing line, and you know, it's a problem being in all this traffic, so here we go. You know, you've got to just wait and see how it all pans out. I'm sure there's a couple of other back markers maybe sprinkled in this grid. Wavy, he's between 5th and 6th right now.
Safety cars coming in. All right. Neon, Scars, Swifty, your top 3. Softs for the first and third runners. Scars on some old rubber. Going to be an interesting restart here. Neon had a good jump on Scars last time. We'll see if he gets another one on the Alfa Romeo this time through. Scars not letting him go. And we are racing here in Monaco. Very tight between Scars and Neon. Romy, 02. Pulling off. Very scary there. Coming out of the Mercedes. He lets through Swifty. We'll see what happens here with Jones. He drops off the throttle there, the Mercedes, and he lets Jones through. Scars struggling on these mediums here, and Swifty's got him in his sights. Neon pulling away nearly 2 seconds through the first sector already.
Ben, nicely executed move up the inside of turn 1 on XTXP. Jake on the inside of the hairpin on the Renaults. He's got past Rackety for P8, and behind them, Darren Alfie Relax there, jostling around for position as well. But Ben, really good to get rid of XTXP. There's 31 lap old hards right now on that Renault. Jake, he's going to be the next one to have the old hards in his sight, but XTXP just making that Renault as wide as he needs to, down into the Nouvelle chicane, and keeps the Red Bull behind him for a little while longer. Rackety now, he's falling off the back here of his teammate, and of course Jake now as well. And we thought they were going to exchange last time, but really struggling from him right now. Crampy and Kai, they've exchanged. Crampy, a fair portion of damage on that front wing, but a pit stop now would see all hopes of points lost for him. Now Wavy just getting out of the way. Down the start finish straight, we've got a yellow flag. It is just a slow moving back marker.
Scars right now defending Swifty. Yeah, Swifty's all over him. Scars getting that car into all the right places just to keep the Red Bull at bay, and we'll see how long he can. Neon is pulling out a massive lead over these back two.
Jake on the inside up Mirabeau, and he's forced his way past XTXP. Nicely done from the Red Bull. A little bit of contact, but no pushing and shoving into the walls. So the Renault, not too much you can say about that one with the tyre differential, but a nice move from the Swedes down from where he started this race. But he's still on for some good points here for the Red Bull squad.
32 lap old hards for XTXP right now, and Rackety, we saw this earlier between the two Renaults. Rackety not able to pass his teammate here on the tires half the life. Just behind them they have Relax, and well, what's happened here? Jones has exchanged. I think he's dropped off. What happened there? Jean's in 4th at the minute. I missed something there. Relax is into the pit lane.
We're not quite sure. Maybe Neon having some sort of problem here. Looks like he is still in the session, but might have had a disconnect. So he's going to make sure that he does, in fact, have a way back in if he needs it. It looks like he's still retaining pace, so fingers crossed, but either way.
One thing to talk about right now is John and Ben. John right now, he's really hunting down, Ben's really hunting down John, but he just had a big brush with the wall. Didn't take any visible damage, fortunately, but John, 11-lap-old hards, has had Ben in his rearview mirrors now. Jake looking at Jones very tightly here as we come through Sector 2 as well.
Yeah, Jake, really impressive off of this restart. That Red Bull 15-lap-old mediums, a fair bit to work with on those tyres. You can see there the racing point a little bit wide coming through Raskas, but not anything that Jake could take advantage of. Maybe now into turn 1. Can the Swede find anything? Not really. Jones just covering off all angles of attack, and that is, well, there's a huge spike of lag, but seeing Jones just teleport behind not only Jake, but the back marker of Brommy as well. So you hate to see lag taking a control on the race like that, but some of the problems we have to deal with here, and for Jones, it's just cost him a position here.
Well, very unfortunate to see when those things come through. As you said, one thing to talk about now is the fact that these two Renaults are just sitting in 8th and 9th, XTXP, leaving Rackety just to play rear gunner, although Rackety on the fresher rubber here. Not entirely sure what the strategy call is there.
Kai, he's just found his way up into P12 past Cotters in the hairpin, and he'll be happy with that. Still on for, some sort of a redemption arc, but with the penalties he's got, I don't see him getting past, Darian for P10. As yet, he could beat him, but again, no points for 11th place, so very, very disappointing result for Kai, who's been on fire this race. Really good performance for him, but just a couple of incidents that just seemed unavoidable for the Mercedes has just cost him a couple of unnecessary pit stops here.
Otters and Kai, a little bit of a brief exchange there. Very interesting strategy coming out of the Renault squad.
Yeah, very surprising as well. I would have expected XTXP and Rackety would have, team orders about 10 laps ago. But it's not to be for the Renault squad for some reason. They're thinking that keeping XTXP ahead is the right call, and well, the gap there that is forming means that Rackety right now falling out of range of those penalties that he could take advantage of. As Ben and Jake, Ben spun. He's trying to get. It's costing. I think Jones probably there picked up a warning for avoiding that one, but unfortunate. But Ben, he's falling down the grid, and Rackety he's got past. Darian Alfie slams into the wall. He's side by side with Azir. They're touching, both with front wing damage. No safety car to speak of. It's too late in the session. Azir, I think, just got a little bit squeezed, but they're still both pointing in the right direction, still both racing, and well, that was very, very close.
John and Swifty into turn 1. John looking at Swifty very tight. He gives Swifty a little bit of a bump through the turn and says hello. There is a lot of fighting happening here on now the penultimate lap of this race throughout this grid. Azir looking at Darian Alfie. They had an issue on the rear of XTXP. XTXP, he actually hit a wall. Jake now with John. Swifty, the two Red Bulls, want to take that 3-4 on track here. John getting squeezed into the wall because Bromy 02 is behind in the Mercedes. I don't know what to say about that one, but I can tell you right now that another Ferrari's wheel to wheel, and there goes Darian through the hairpin with Azir on the rear of him. Azir with a corner cut there. Darian has damage. Cotters is here as well, and Darian's gone into the wall. Darian Alfie's crashed straight into the wall. Just straight. He just drove straight.
I'm not quite sure there, how he's managed that one, but super unfortunate to see him like that. Azir and him were side by side. The two Red Bulls, they've swapped places, and well, we saw them do it earlier in the race. I don't think this time it was team orders, though. Maybe Jake really on the better tyres right now. 19-lap-old medium is going to be feeling a lot better than Swifty's soft. Swifty now has a job to do. He's got to hold up Jean. Jean without a penalty. Jake with 3 seconds. The gap About 2 between John and Jake. Jake, only 3 seconds. Bromy, let's buy Jean. The Haas now unleashed, but the Red Bull, Swifty. Jake on for the first podium in the season for the Red Bull squad. And they don't want penalties to rob them of it right now. The gap is enough to give Jake the 3rd place. Swifty going to take one for the team here. He will drop to Jean. He might even drop to Jones as well. I think it's a few seconds.
Azir has just dispatched XTXP for 9th. XTXP 37 lap old hards right now, really going to be struggling on these. He's taken them the entirety of this race. Cotters right now less than a second behind, with Kai looking up his rear view that it's going to be Neon taking the checkered flag here in Monaco. Scars will follow him second. Look back to Jake now. He will come through the final turn as Ben hunting down what's happened here between him and Jones. There's another car coming through in Rackety, the Renault.
Well, Ben just tried to send it up the inside coming into Raskas, and there's not enough room for him there. And he's found that out the hard way. Rackety, P6, not quite the P4 I said as a bold prediction, but not bad for the Renault at all. XTXP, Azir, both drop Cotters into the top 10. Crampy into P9. What? The penalties applied.
Wow. Wow, what a race finish that was. Extremely intense, and I'd like to say dramatic. The timing tower just did not stop shuffling there at the end, and we'll take a look at the final classification before stewards get their hands on things. But of course, it was Neon taking the checkered flag, the McLaren driver. Well, it was a very, very good run from him, I have to say.
Yeah, what a drive. You know, on his birthday, he's going to be super, super happy about that one, and I'm sure we will, you know, hear him and all of his happiness in just a moment. But like you said, super, super good drive. You know, it really pays off here around Monaco to just have that lap, you know, that pace on the start. And we saw Neon get that P1 off of the line, get past Jake, and well, it's paid dividends for him here. Fastest lap, P2 to P1. He'll be very, very happy with that one.
That was a very thrilling, dynamic race, and Neon from second to first takes the win here. He took the fastest lap as well, a 1:10.274. Scars in the Alfa Romeo collects second position here in the Alfa Romeo. Very good drive from him. Again, another dynamic performance. It was just an all-around up and down race, to say the least, and Jake taking that 3rd slot. We talked about the Red Bulls coming into this one not having podiums. Well, Jake must have heard you, and he has delivered with one here in 3rd now. John 4th from 14th position here. A great drive for Haas. 50, he started in 4th, he drops to 5th. Rackety in 6th, Jones 7th, Ben in 8th, Crampy in 9th, with Cotters rounding out the 10 drivers to take points. Before stewards get their hands on things, we have XTXP, Azir, Kai, Relax, Bromeo 2, Wavy, Darian Alfie, Henners, Hurricane, and Liam who all joined us for this one as well. And a variety of penalties all down through this grid, but it was just a fun race. And of course, we'll have interviews in just a moment before we raid somebody here on Twitch. Yeah, Unicorn, just a lot of excitement, I'd like to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And a really nicely done race from these guys. You know, most drivers keeping it really clean, but a lot of overtakes. We've seen it. We saw it in the Netherlands as well, a track where you can't really overtake. These guys just finding moves that you just don't expect to exist. So really, really nicely done from a lot of these drivers. They got to give themselves a pat on the back. You know, I know a few people were apprehensive coming into this one, as you should be around Monaco. It's a scary, scary track to be racing around, and well, they've done themselves proud. They've really nailed this one, so I'm sure most people will be pretty satisfied with this. A few guys losing out a little bit. Kai, I'm sure, will be absolutely gutted with how this one's gone. You know, obviously those who have DNF'd as well, lost out because of penalties. Whole host of issues, but there's a lot of guys who could be really proud of that one. And even if they didn't get the finish they want, those overtaking maneuvers we saw from some of them, even if they didn't result in points, they must have been super fun to partake in, because that was one hell of a race to watch.
Well, we do have the podium finishers available for interviews. We are going to, of course, be starting with none other than the 3rd place finisher. It is the Red Bull driver. Congratulations, Jake. Welcome to the commentary. And how was that race for you?
An emotional one, I must say. from getting pole and getting wing damage, recovering slightly, getting wing damage again, and then working my way back up to P3 somehow. I must say, it was emotional.
Well, it was a very, very dynamic race, as I always say, and there was a couple of safety cars to throw themselves into the equation for this one. So why don't you just talk us through the final stages of this race for you and how it came through with a P3?
Well, I know in the last laps I somehow was P6 and I had 3-second penalty, and I know John didn't have a 3-second penalty. So in the last lap, I knew I had to build a 3-second gap, which I did somehow, and that was really relieving, and it secured my P3, and it was really stressful.
Well, Monaco now out of the way. I imagine it's a major sigh of relief to take a position like that. I know you had pole today, but to get points in third, second, or first here around Monaco, definitely a good thing to be happy about. How are you and the Tier 2 Red Bull drivers looking ahead for Azerbaijan?
Good. I enjoyed the track a lot. I think it can be a fun race to watch as well. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Jake, and congratulations on the third place finish. I do believe that's the first podium of the season, and
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Okay, now joining us, second place finisher here in Monaco. It is the Alfa Romeo driver, Scars. Welcome to the commentary booth, and congratulations. How is Monaco for you today?
Thank you. It was really hard. I think the end of the stint, the tires were just sliding everywhere, and then the traffic when I came out of the pits with Swifty, it was intense. It was really hard to keep my nose clean, but managed to do it. And P2 is really good result for the team. Alfa Romeo, you've had a couple tough races, so it's pretty good.
Definitely a dynamic race. We were talking on the broadcast about how difficult it was for you to have come out of the pit lane to try and keep with Swifty with those harder runners, but you finished ahead of him in the end, and it was a good drive. How was it in the end for you in this race, knowing that everything was so tight, you had the older tires, there was a lot going on in this race?
Well, first thing is I didn't want to pit at all because it's Monaco track position, and my tires were pretty fine. The mediums were actually really good around this track, so they were really good. And Swifty wasn't able to get close. I think he almost tried to move up the hill once, but he didn't get close enough. And I think after that he got wing damage or something. But yeah, I was a bit annoyed when he got into P3 and he was on softs. So I was a bit annoyed there, but I was still able to keep pace. It was good.
Congratulations on the second place finish, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week for Azerbaijan.
All right, cheers, Matt.
All right, now joining us once again here in the commentary booth. First and foremost, happy birthday, Neon. Secondly, congratulations on the victory here, and I'll let Unicorn take it from here. But great race overall, Neon.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, Neil, we were speaking before this. You told me to mention your birthday on the broadcast. Well, way to do it, getting yourself here in the commentary booth with another win. Back to back. How does that one feel?
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, thank you very much for the birthday wishes, by the way. A good present to come home in P1 on this race. Very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Qualifying didn't quite go your way. You were on for what looked like the pole lap, but then the invalidation. But you recovered it through into turn one. You've got to have your head, reset after qualifying. How did you do that so quickly? And was it always, the goal to get Jake into turn one?
Yeah, about the quali, I'll just leave it there. There was 4 bottled laps. And then in the race in turn one, I fully reset. I fully went into the zone because I always know that I have a very good start compared to the top runners in tier 2 at the moment. That's what I've shown from the past starts that I've in P2. And I was aiming to get him into turn 1. The outside was a pretty hard line to have. But in the end, I got a good launch. I felt like I left enough space as well, and then I just got him. Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. I was very fortunate to take him on the line because after he got damaged and then he had to pit, unfortunately for Jake. But that worked all out in my favor.
Yeah, well, once you got that move done, it was pretty smooth sailing for you. You know, the pit window, you got onto some tires, you carved through the traffic, then the safety car, you pitted again for softs. What were they feeling like at the end of the race? Obviously, you didn't really have too much to worry about during the race other than that traffic, which can be a problem, but how were those softs feeling in those last few laps?
Yeah, and first I was pretty scared that my softs were gonna die pretty quickly because it was 13 laps on the softs, and on the first stint it was 12 laps on the softs with a safety car, so basically only 10 laps, and they were 60+%. So I was pretty scared that the softs were gonna die. I pushed for fastest lap, like the second lap of the safety car, because I knew I could take it. I knew it was an 11.4, and in the end I think I got a 10.2. And then I just basically I nursed them all the way to the end. With second safety car I helped out as well for tire wear, and then I just nursed them all the way to the end.
Yeah, well, looking forward, you know, now after your third win of the season, you're second in the standings, just a few points behind Hurricane. You know, you've won more races than anyone else in Tier 2 now as a result of this one. And how are you feeling, not only just for next week at Baku, but for the rest of the season? You're really challenging for, you know, the championship here. What are your goals? You know, how confident are you that you can take the top spot at the end of this?
I'm pretty confident coming in. I'm not gonna say anything about taking it. I'm aiming, of course, to get this win. But it's just gotta stay consistent, just getting the points. Like, it's not always gonna be P1, but points is points. And for the coming races, the past races weren't my best races. Of course, Netherlands was a bit sad. It's my home race, but the rest. Looking forward to the coming races, I feel really strong already. I feel like I have a good pace already, and with the coming, like the week of practice to Baku, I feel like I can build that pace more and more and challenge again for points, good points.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming for an interview, Neil. Big congratulations, and again, happy birthday. The chat's got your back as well, everyone. A lot of wishes there for you, but big congratulations, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the commentary booth sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Thank you, Neon. Excellent stuff. And of course, that is going to be wrapping us up for this broadcast here. MRL Tier 2, Round 7. It was Monaco, and what a race it was. We have still more racing to come around Monaco this week. Tomorrow, same place, same time, 8 p.m. GMT, 9 p.m. CET. We will have the Tier 1 racing action. That's 3 p.m. Eastern for you guys in North America like myself here in Canada. And, well, I'm very, very thankful for such an intense race, and those are some great interviews from the Podium Finishers there. Big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out in the chat and the panels below. They have some great products over on their website, but I do believe that will be it for us tonight. Unicorn getting into Tier 1 racing tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Tier 2's just set a high, you know, standard of racing for Tier 1, Striff. There was some awesome overtakes there. These guys, I said it before, they really need to pat themselves on the back because those overtakes around this track, I wasn't expecting a lot coming into this race in terms of that, but really nicely done from these guys. So awesome race to watch. You know, brilliant.
Good night, everybody. That's it from us, and we will see you tomorrow for Tier 1 racing action. Of course, jump in for the outro, and we're going to hit a esports driver today, Mr. Josh Adowu, I do believe is how you pronounce that, but we're going to head on over there in just a few moments, so we'll hope you join us and say hello in the chat for when we drop down.